Hello everyone, I am Kinshuk Parashar and from today we are going to start with the first chapter of Science and Technology book. In the introduction session, I have told you that we will be going chapter by chapter of this book. Okay. And in today's session, we are going to discuss the first chapter that is about a basic concept of biology, that is cell. Okay. So we are going to start with that chapter cell, and if you understand it, you will find that a lot of things related to the general bio and plus even the biotechnology section will be quite much clear. So we are going to start with this area. Now, let us see the first thing that we are talking about. If we talk about the cell is what? Cell is basically a basic building block of life. Cell is called as the basic building block of life. And this is serving as the foundation of all the living things. All the living organisms which are around us. So this cell is working as a foundation of it. Okay. We can divide the organisms into two categories on the basis of how many cells they are containing. Okay. How many cells they are made up of. Okay. If there are certain organisms which are made up of one single cell, we call them as unicellular organism. Okay. Whereas if we are having certain organisms which are made up of multiple cells, for example, we have humans, dogs, cats, and many more. Okay. So they are multicellular organisms. Okay. They are made up of multiple cells, whereas there are unicellular organisms also, for example, bacteria, amoeba. Okay. So they are basically unicellular organisms. Okay. Now, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about the cell organelles. UPSC have been asking questions about like the role of different organelles, or sometimes they have even asked about the difference between plant cell and animal cell. So we are going to study all of it. Okay. Now, before going into organelle, there is one important information for you, and that is we have this Mycoplasma bacteria. They are known as the smallest known cell. Okay. So the smallest known cell is that of Mycoplasma bacteria. Okay. Now let us talk about the different cell organelle and their function. The first important cell organelle that we are having is plasma membrane or cell membrane. This plasma membrane or cell membrane is nothing but a boundary enclosing the components of the cell. All the cells, whether they are unicellular organism or multicellular organism, whether they are plant cell or animal cell, they are consisting of this plasma membrane. Okay. Now, this plasma membrane is basically a semi-permeable or selective permeable membrane. Okay. It is called as a semi-permeable or selective permeable membrane. Okay. Now, this, if we talk about the role of this, you can see this is a porous membrane and it enables the passage of particular chemicals or liquids inside or outside of the cell. Okay. So, this plasma membrane, it is basically responsible for the entry or exit of the different chemicals or water inside the cell or outside the cell. Okay. So this is its important role. Okay. Then there is another important organelle of cell, which is cell wall. Now this cell wall is present only in the plant cells. Okay. It is not present in the animal cells. It is present in the plant cells. Okay. So they are present in plant cells. And what is its role? Basically, you can see that this is providing a strong and rigid structure. Okay. It is enclosing the plasma membrane of the plant cell. See, plants are standing at their own position. They are not frequently moving. They need firm support. They need firm support in order to stand erect. And the cell wall is providing them that firm support. So you can see here, this is also shielding them from any mechanical shock. Okay. If there is any mechanical shock, so that is also being prevented by the cell wall, and at the same time, it is providing them that form and support. Okay. What it is made up of? It is composed of pectin, cellulose, and hemicellulose. So they are responsible for formation of this cell wall. Okay. Then after this cell wall, we have another component which is called as cytoplasm. Basically, if we look at the cell, we have one cell membrane. In general, if we talk about any cell, there is one cell membrane. Okay. Inside that cell membrane, there is a semi-fluid like system which is consisting of many cell organelle. And that semi-fluid like system is what we call as cytoplasm. So this is a jelly-like material. This is a jelly-like material and it is present inside the cell. There is one more component of the cell, that is nucleus. So you can say that between the nucleus and the plasma membrane, the entire area which is there, the entire things which are there inside any cell, that is what we call as cytoplasm. Now this cytoplasm is consisting of various cell organelles. They are consisting of various cell organelles. We will discuss about them as well. Okay. Now, they can see they have organelles like mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes. They are all present in the cytoplasm. What is their role? Okay. See, it is enclosing the cell organelles. Okay. This is enclosing the cell organelles, and the different organelles which are there present inside the cytoplasm, they are having a particular function. Those cell organelles are having a particular purpose inside the cell. They are having a particular function inside the cell. Okay. So now, let us see about these organelles. But before that, let us talk about one more part, important part of the cell, that is nucleus. See, there is cell membrane, then cytoplasm, and then we have got the nucleus. Now, this is a crucial part of every cell, and you can say that this is the brain of the cell. This is the brain, the central part of the cell. Now, this, if we talk about this nucleus, what you can see that some of the cells can have a well-defined nuclear membrane. Okay. There are two types of cell on the basis of existence of a membrane. If there is a membrane around the nucleus material, then we call that as a eukaryotic cell. And if the nucleus materials are not enclosed by any such membrane, they are simply lying in the cytoplasm, then that is called as prokaryotic cell. Okay. So that is one part of it. If we look at the role of it, they are basically carrying the genes. Okay. They are carrying the genetic materials of the body, of the cell, and they are responsible for transmission of the traits from one generation to another generation. Okay. Now, at the same time, keep one thing here in mind, all the activities of the cell are coordinated by the nucleus of the cell. Okay. Even the cell division and all other parts, cell recovery, cell repair, all these activities are coordinated by the nucleus. The formation of energy, it takes place in mitochondria, but then again, it is being coordinated, regulated by the nucleus of the cell. Okay. Then, now we are coming to the different organelles of the cytoplasm. One of the first organelles is vacuoles. Now, vacuoles are empty storage structures present inside any cell. In case of plant, we can see that the vacuoles are quite large. Okay. The vacuoles are quite large. On the other hand, if we talk about the animal cells, we can see that the vacuoles are smaller in size, but they can be numerous. In many plant cells, you will find that there is one single large vacuole. And at the same time, this is very important to know that one vacuole can even occupy around 50 to 70 or 80% of the entire space of the cell. Okay. So they can be very large structures present inside the cell. What role they are performing? What is their main role? You can see here, they are basically a storage space. Okay. The various compounds which are required for the survival of the cell, for that, the vacuoles are that storage space. Okay. At the same time, they can have proteins, carbohydrates, organic acids, amino acids present inside the vacuoles. Okay. Then there are certain specialized vacuole also, and they help in removal of the surplus water and various waste products from the cell. Okay. So on one hand, they are performing the task of being a storage system inside the cell. They are also having a specialized function like removal of surplus water or waste material from the cell. Okay. So that is the role of vacuoles in the cell structure. We have another important part, that is chromosomes. Now, what are these chromosomes? They are basically rod-shaped structures. Okay. When the cell is going to divide, they are going to appear like a rod-shaped structure. Okay. But What are the components of it? The components of the chromosomes are DNA and protein. So DNA and protein combined together forms our chromosomes. Now, in short, chromosomes consist of a lot of different genes, which are deciding the traits, which are deciding the characteristics of the cell. Okay. For example, if we talk about humans, we have got 23 pairs of chromosomes inside our body, inside the cells of our body, other than the reproductive cells. Okay. So in normal somatic cell in human body, we have got 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay. Now, remember one thing, one single chromosomes consist of multiple number of genes, and they decide the various characteristics of our cell, and in short, also the characteristics or appearance of the person. Okay. So chromosomes are responsible for appearance of any organism, okay, the traits of any organism, the adaptation of any organism. All these characteristics are decided by the chromosomes. Okay. Now, if we look at it, it is containing the DNA information, and from here it is being transferred from the parents to the offspring. Okay. So it is consisting of that DNA, that genetic material, and through reproduction it is being transferred from one generation to another generation. Okay. See, they are also playing a very crucial role in determining the sex of the individual. There are two groupings, XX means it is going to be female. If there is XY, it is going to be male. Okay. So normally the human cells are consisting of 23 pair of chromosomes, but when we talk about the reproductive cells, they are consisting of half of the number. Okay. They are not consisting the full pair, but half numbers. Okay. Now, then we have also one thing, nucleoids. Okay. See, in some of the organisms such as bacteria, the nuclear area of the cell is not very much well defined. So their genetic material is what we refer to as nucleoids. Okay. And at the same time, this nucleolus, this is the site of the ribosome synthesis inside those organisms. Okay. Moving on, if we see the next important organelle of the cell, it is endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Now, this endoplasmic reticulum, see, there are three different organelle in the cell which are performing a task of synthesis of various materials, their packaging and delivery to various part of the cell or even outside the cell. These three organelles are ribosome, then endoplasmic reticulum, and then Golgi apparatus. Okay. So let us first see this endoplasmic reticulum. Now, this endoplasmic reticulum is of two types. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum. The second is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. What it is appearing like? Basically, it is a vast network of sheets and tubes. It is like appearing to be a circular lengthy sacs or long tubules. Okay. Now, if we talk about the rough endoplasmic reticulum or soft or smooth endoplasmic reticulum, you can see here. If we talk about the rough, it is appearing rough due to presence of another cell organelle on its body, and that is ribosome. Okay. So ribosomes are present on the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and due to which it is appearing as rough structure under the microscope. Okay. Now, if we look at the role of it, what role it is doing? Basically, it is involved with production, folding, quality control, and dispatch of certain proteins inside the body. Okay. And in total, this endoplasmic reticulum, smooth and rough, okay, they are responsible or they are acting as a conduit for the movement of substances and particularly the protein. Okay. So ribosome, which is present on this endoplasmic reticulum, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is responsible for protein synthesis, and this rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is responsible for folding, quality control, and dispatch of these substances. Okay. On the other hand, this smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it is not having the ribosomes on its body. Okay. What role it is performing? Basically, it helps in manufacture of certain fat molecules or lipids. Okay. and it is also essential component of the detoxification process of many poisons and pharmaceuticals in the liver cell. Okay. So the different medicines or the poisons which goes in our body, in that its metabolism or its breakdown happens with the help of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. So this is mainly associated with, on one hand, it is associated with lipid production inside the cell, means fat molecules. On the other hand, it is also concerned with the detoxification in liver cells. Okay. Now, then if we talk about the Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex, now this is also this is again made up of membrane of different tubules or vesicles which are present in the cell, and they are also frequently connected to this endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Now you will find that what role they are performing. They are also transporting the materials which have been synthesized close to the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. And they can send these materials both inside and outside the cell. Means they can be acting as that transport medium of transfer of these substances inside or outside the cell. Then at the same time, its duties, what it include? Alteration, packaging and storage of goods in the vesicles or the tubules. Okay. Then the next important component which we are having is lysosomes. Now this is one very famous organelle. You might be knowing it by simply the suicidal bag of the cell. So this lysosome, it is responsible for getting rid of the waste material or trash inside the cell. So removal of the trash, it is not just suicidal bag, it has other role also. So removal of waste product from the cell is under the ambit of lysosome. Okay. So see, if we talk about them, okay, they are performing one more thing, like you can see, they break down the worn out cell organelles or any external object. Okay. So suppose that some cell organelles have got damaged. Okay. So then again the lysosomes will help in moving them or expelling them out of the cell. Okay. At the same time, they are also, like when we talk about damage to any cell, then in that case lysosome bursts and they release enzymes, and these enzymes can result in the destruction of the entire cell, and that's why they are called as the suicidal bag. So two important functions you can see here. First of all, they are getting rid of the trash of the cell. Okay. Whatever waste product is there, if any foreign substance is there, if any cell organelle has become damaged, okay, so they can be removing that structure. Okay. And at the same time, if the cell entirely has been damaged, then the lysosomes will burst, the enzymes will be coming out of it, and then it will kill, or you can say that remove the entire cell itself. Okay. Now, see one thing here, the Golgi complex or the Golgi apparatus is also helping in the development of the lysosomes. So they are also having a sort of connection with each other. Okay. Then here again, this one such cell organelle, it is also quite much famous. It has been called as the powerhouse of the cell. So this mitochondria is one such cell organelle which is responsible for energy generation inside the cell. Okay. It converts food into energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate. Okay. So in the form of ATP, it is releasing energy inside the cell. Okay. And this energy is helping the cells to grow, develop and all. Okay. This mitochondria is also having some little amount of genetic material inside it. And you have to understand here one thing, this mitochondrial DNA or genetic material is also transferred from one generation to another generation. And if the mitochondria is defective, it can lead to transfer of hereditary disease as well. Okay. You might be aware about the different things going on in the world right now, like 3-parent baby or mitochondrial replacement therapy. Okay. So basically this mitochondria is having some amount of DNA inside it, some amount of genetic material inside it, and due to that, it can be responsible for transfer of the hereditary disease. Okay. Now, when we talk about the plastids are something which are present inside the plant cell. Now, this is not found in the animal cell. Okay. Now, there is one thing, like if we look at it, we have got the chlorophyll inside the plastids. Plastids are basically having this chromoplast and leucoplast. Leucoplast is responsible for storage of the food items, and the chromoplast is consisting of chlorophyll. Now, this chlorophyll is basically helping in trapping the sunlight, trapping the energy from the sunlight, which is responsible for photosynthesis in these plant cells. Okay. So these chloroplasts are also there. Chloroplasts are responsible for the photosynthesis. Okay. And starch, lipid, proteins, all these things are stored in leucoplasts, which are again part of the plastid network. Okay. So this is one thing. Here it helps in respiration. This one helps in photosynthesis. So here it helps in respiration or generation of energy, and this is helping in tapping the energy and converting it in form of food. Okay. So that is the role of mitochondria and plastids. Now you can see in front of you, you can see that we have got this plant cell, and on the other hand we have got the animal cell. So in the plant cell, you can see that we have also got the cell wall. Then after we have got the cell membrane. Okay. You can see this large structure. This large structure is the vacuole. I was telling you that they occupy a considerable space in the plant cell. Okay. At the same time, you can see that there is presence of mitochondria also. There is ribosomes also. Okay. So these are the part of your plant cell. On the other hand, you can see we have this animal cell. You can see the size of the vacuole is considerably lower or smaller in case of this animal cell. Okay. Then after we are having this Golgi complex, we are having the endoplasmic reticulum here also. Okay. Then we are having the ribosomes present on it. Okay. The plasma membrane can be seen here, but it is not consisting of the cell wall or the plastids. So they are the plant and animal cells. Now in this book itself, you will find that we have got a distinction between the plant and animal cell. Okay. In a table-like manner. In the book also you will find this, that we have got this tabular form of comparison between the plant cell and the animal cell. So you can see, if we talk about the cell shape, you can see that in the plant we are having the rectangular, whereas in the case of animals we are having a circular cell structure. Okay. Here you can see cell wall is present, cell wall is absent. Plasma membrane, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, cytoplasm, ribosomes. They are present in both plant and animal cell. The difference is here in terms of plastids. Plastids are present in the plant cell, but they are absent in the animal cell. There is one component, cilia, which is helping in motility of the cells. So they are absent in the plant cell, but they are present in some of the animal cell. Okay. Mitochondria, you can see there is present. Okay. Vacuoles, we can see that in the case of plants, we have few large vacuoles, whereas in the case of animals, we can see that in the case of animal cell, we can see that there are small vacuoles, but their numbers can be higher. So numerous smaller vacuoles can be seen in case of this animal cell. Okay. When we talk about the plant, their primary mode of nutrition is autotrophic, whereas in case of animal, it is heterotrophic. Okay. So this one table of comparison is there, and it can be very much useful for quick revision. Okay. Then, see, I was telling you we have another cell to compare, and that is prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Again in the book you will find that we have got this comparison. If we talk about prokaryotic, pro means primitive, before. Okay. So here karyon means nucleus. So before the nucleus means which is not having a properly well-defined nucleus, that is our prokaryotic cell. Whereas eukaryotic cell, that is one having well-defined nucleus bounded by a nuclear membrane. Okay. Now in this case you can see that the evolution, here it is very important for you to know that the prokaryotic cells have evolved a long time ago. They have been formed around 3.5 billion years ago. Whereas on the other hand, we can see the eukaryotic cells are relatively newer cells. They have evolved just 1.5 billion years ago. Okay. So this is one important part. if we talk about the cell wall, you will find that in the case of prokaryotic cell, we are going to have almost all the different cells which are there. They are going to have this cell wall. Whereas in the case of animals, in the case of eukaryotic cell, we can see that certain of the plant cells and fungi, they are having this cell wall. Whereas the other animal cells, they are missing this cell wall. Okay. If we talk about the organisms which are there, you can see that here we are having bacteria and archaea. Okay. And at the same time, on the other hand, in the case of eukaryotes, we can see we have protists, fungi, plants, animals, etc. Okay. Then, if we talk about the mode of division, here we are having binary fission or budding mode of reproduction. Then in the other side, we can see that mitosis and meiosis goes on for cell division in eukaryotic cells. Okay. So they are the two distinctions between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Okay. Then, now, there is one important part under this chapter of the first chapter of this science and technology book, and that is about the chromosomes. Okay. So chromosomes are basically long continuous DNA molecules which are found inside the nucleus. They are carrying the genes and they help in the transmission of traits from one generation to the another generation. Okay. Now see, whenever this cell is going to divide, like before the division of it, it is not present in the form of rod shape or chromosomes. Okay. There is this normally you will find that they are tube-like structures present inside the nucleus of the cell. But when the cell is going to divide, they become very much enclosed in a tube-like structure which is called as chromosomes. Otherwise, chromatin network of the DNA particles can be seen inside the nucleus. Okay. Now, they store this information in the form of DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay. And it is passed from one generation to another generation. Okay. Now, this compact nature of the chromosomes is vital in order to transfer it from one generation to another generation in order for duplication of it during the cell division. Okay. So, chromosomes are those different things. Now, there is one important part, like you can see that we have a very clear diagram of the DNA and the RNA. Now, you can see that in the case of, when we are talking about the DNA, we can see a double helical structure, whereas in case of this RNA, we are having a single helical structure. Here you can see that we are having cytosine, guanine, adenine and thymine. Now, cytosine, guanine and adenine are there also, but change in form of uracil. So, on one hand, in the case of RNA, we are having uracil, here we are having thymine. Okay. So, that is the different pair which exists in case of DNA and RNA. Okay. But let us understand that what is the exact role of DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA, what role they are performing in the cell. Now, just try to understand here. When we talk about DNA, DNA is present inside the nucleus of the eukaryotic cell. We are here talking about mostly the eukaryotic cell. Okay. So, in the case of eukaryotic cell, DNA is present inside the nucleus, which is bounded by a nuclear membrane. Okay. Most of the DNA is there. There is some amount in mitochondria, but let us focus on this part first. Okay. Now, in this case of DNA, this DNA is basically also called as the blueprint of the cell. Blueprint means it contains all the information regarding the cell development, cell division, okay, the growth of the cell, the experience of the cell, means it is consisting all the history, it is consisting all the the methods or techniques through which cell reproduces or the cell organelles function. So, in short, it is a code about the entire cell, how the cell is going to function, what is going to be its properties, each and everything is there in the DNA. Now, DNA is present inside the nucleus, and now suppose that if any activity has to be done, this DNA is acting as the policy making, or the nucleus containing the DNA is acting as the policy making body inside the cell. Okay. So, suppose that there is one cell and it has been infected by any such bacteria or virus. Okay. Now the DNA will analyze that bacteria or virus. The nucleus will analyze that, cell will analyze that. And then suppose that now it know that in order to kill that bacteria, in order to remove that bacteria, they need a particular type of protein. Okay. They need a particular type of protein. So now this DNA, what it will do, it will generate one type of RNA which is called as mRNA. mRNA is also called as messenger RNA. So it is going to generate that messenger RNA. Now messenger RNA is nothing but a coded instruction. This coded instruction will go to the ribosome. Okay. Now it will give the instruction to the ribosome that yes, you have to prepare a particular protein. You have to synthesize a particular protein in order to kill that bacteria. Okay. Then at the same time, there is another RNA which gets activated here. That is transport RNA. Now this transport RNA, it is present in the cytoplasm. You can see this mRNA, it has been generated by the DNA inside the nucleus. It was a coded instruction. The second one is transport RNA. Now ribosome has got the instruction that it has to prepare the protein, but then it will need various materials in order to prepare that protein. So this transport RNA, which is present in the cytoplasm, its responsibility is to collect all those substances, all those raw materials which are required for the synthesis of the protein. Okay. And it will carry those raw materials to the ribosome. Okay. Now there is a third RNA that is called as rRNA. It is called as ribosomal RNA. And this ribosomal RNA, it is responsible for the actual synthesis of the protein inside the ribosome. Okay. So you can see here, DNA is the instruction giving body or the policy making body, and these three RNA, they are basically executing the order of the DNA. DNA has first sent its instruction through mRNA, transport RNA has arranged all the raw materials, and then rRNA, that is ribosomal RNA, it is responsible for synthesis of the protein. Okay. So in this manner, you can understand that what is the actual function of the DNA and RNA. DNA is performing more than that. DNA is responsible for passing the traits from one generation to another generation. It is also recording all the experiences of the cell. Suppose that if the cell has been able to fight this bacteria, now this information will be stored in the DNA. And suppose the same bacteria or any other population of the same bacteria attacks the cell again in future, then DNA will easily retrieve that information, retrieve that memory, and accordingly it can act. Okay. So DNA is also like a storage device. Okay. It is also acting as a memory device of the experiences of the cell. Okay. So that is the role of DNA and RNA in the cells. Okay. Now, so this is what we have got here. What is DNA? What is RNA? How their structures are? And each and everything. What is the role of mRNA, then this transport RNA or messenger RNA. Okay. Now, there is one important part of it, one more important part of this chapter, that is about cell division. There is one thing called as mitosis. Okay. Now, mitosis is one such cell division in which the parent cell divides into two identical daughter cells having equal number of chromosomes. Like suppose that if we talk about any adult cell, let us say we talk about any adult human cell, somatic cell, it is having 23 pair of chromosomes. So when this cell will divide, it will create first the duplicates of each and every organelle. It will also create a duplicate of the nucleus. It will replicate the entire genetic material, and then it will produce two identical daughter cells having the same number of chromosomes. Okay. So in case of mitosis, we are getting a diploid cell having the full pair of the chromosomes. Okay. On the other hand, we have this meiosis process. Now in the meiosis process, we get 4 haploid cells. Okay. What is the difference between diploid and haploid cell? In the case of diploid cell, we have the full pair of the chromosomes. Whereas in case of this haploid cells, we have half the number of the chromosomes. Okay. Like you can see, this meiosis process is generally seen in what we call as reproductive cells. Reproductive cells like a sperm or ovum, you will find that they have this meiosis process of division. Okay. So they have half number of the chromosomes. So they produce haploid cells and 4 cells are produced here. Okay. In this case, there is production of 2 different diploid cells having full pair of chromosomes. So there are 2 different methods of cell division. Okay. So that is what we have got in the first chapter. We have first seen what is cell. We have also seen what are the different organelles of the cell. We have seen what is their function. We have also talked about the difference between plant cell and animal cell. Then after, we have discussed about this prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Then after, we have talked about some related concepts like DNA, chromosomes. We have seen through image that what is the structure of DNA and RNA. Then after, we have also talked about the role of DNA and RNA in the cells. Okay. So that understanding of the function of the DNA and RNA is very much crucial. Then after, in last part, we have discussed about 2 types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. Okay. So these are some of the important part of chapter 1 of our science and technology book. Then in the next session, we are going to discuss the topics from chapter 2. Thank you everyone. All the best. Thank you.